Hello everybody, why don't you come and join me to use up your stash and make a beautiful crocheted Afghan just like this one. Really simple stitches, perfect for beginners. Come and join me. Right, so let's get started. I've got here some grey Cashmerino Aran, Debbie Bliss yarn, which is really handy because it's got a nice twist and it's washable, which is what you really want in a nice cosy blanket. So we make a slip knot. So just have the yarn across your palm here, yarn around there, and then pull the working yarn through that loop. And when you pull, it creates that little loop that you can pull to fit onto your hook. So the first thing we're going to do is to make chains. And we make a chain by taking the yarn around the hook and then pulling it through the loop. So we go around, through the loop, yarn around the hook, through the loop, yarn around the hook, through the loop. And I want you to make as many chains as you want the blanket to be wide. And I'm deliberately not being prescriptive about the number of chains because for this Afghan, this little blanket, we're going to just be using one single stitch. And so there's no stitch repeat to worry about at all. And the reason this works so well for a very first blanket is that all you have to do is do enough chains until you reach the width that you want your blanket to be. So if it's going to be a lap blanket, just do a chain that reaches where you'd like it to reach around your lap. If it's for a bed, just take it to the bed and see how many chains wide you want it to be. If it's a children's blanket, again, just measure it against how far you want it to be in terms of width. So this is going to be my little swatch of a blanket. So when you get to the width that you want, turn the work around, and then we're going to work into the chain back across. Then we're going to do our first stitch into the second chain from the hook, which is there, and we're going to work in what is a US half double crochet or a UK half treble. And it's a lovely stitch. It traps the warmth. It's nice and quick. Very satisfying. So we take the yarn around the hook and then we put the hook into the second chain from the hook and pull up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and then pull that little loop through these 3 like that. Yarn around into the chain, pull up a loop, yarn over and then pull back through all 3. And we work these half trebles all the way along, or half double crochet US, half treble is the UK name for that stitch. And we're going to just get all the way to the end. So it's yarn over into the chain, pull up a loop, 3 on the hook, yarn over, back through 3. And when I say go into the chain, I'm working into the chain there, but it doesn't matter where you go into the chain. This is not essential for this project at all. So yarn over into the chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. And you notice that I'm holding the bottom of the chain all the time. And that just helps me to steady it. So I'm going to hold now the bottom of those 3 stitches while I pull that little loop through. Once you finish this blanket, this Afghan, you'll be so proficient at half double crochets, half trebles, that you'll just whiz through them. Because remember, you're going to have a whole row to do. It's going to be fantastic. So we're coming up now to the end of the chain. And I just want to show you, it's very important not to miss this last stitch, the last chain or the last stitch in the row, because if you do, your blanket will have a wobbly edge. So yarn over, I'm going right into that last one there, pull up a loop, yarn over and back through 3. So there we are, there's that first row done. Now, because this is the very first row, we're going to change colour just after that first row. I'm going to pull up that loop to make it a bit bigger and turn the work around. The reason for this, which I shall show you later on, is so that we make sure we always change colour on the same side, and that's to make sure that all our ends are in the same place. It's just convenient, really. I'm going to snip quite a long end there, and you'll see why when we change colour in just a second. So let's change colour. I think let's try this little light pink. I think it's called baby pink, this one. Again, it's Cashmerino Aran, but any Aran weight yarn will do here, and as long as you stick to the same weights, it's absolutely fine for your blanket. But it doesn't matter if you switch the brands and things. Right, so to change colour here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull a loop, there's our grey that we've snipped off, pull up a loop through the last grey one. Now, this is just a way we're going to show you how to weave in the ends to keep it all nice and tidy. I've got hold of the grey we snipped off and the new end of the pink. I'm going to work 2 chains because we're doing a half double crochet, half treble, and that's the height we need to come. And then I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into this first stitch here, and as I put up a loop, you can see I'm using this working yarn to sort of encase these 2 ends. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Keeping the 2 ends tucked away there, yarn over into the next stitch, and we're going over the top of those ends, yarn over, pull through all 3. And this might seem a bit of a faff to start with, but when you get the hang of it, it'll save you a lot of time later on. Yarn over, I'm going over the 2 ends, pull up a loop, back through 3. Oops, that must split a little bit. If you do get a split one, just take your hook out and pop it in again. Yarn over, into the stitch, pull up the loop, yarn over, back through 3. Now, when you weave in the ends, when you tuck the ends away like this, some people might say, well, you know, do it for 3 or 4 rows, 3 or 4 stitches. I'm just going to do 5 there. And now I'm just going to let them drop and work the rest of the row just into the stitches as normal with the half double crochet US, half treble UK. So we take the yarn around the hook into the stitch, and when I mean into the stitch, I just mean going underneath those little V's there. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over, I'm going into that stitch there. Pull up a loop, yarn over and back through 3. And we get all the way to the end. And again, you need to be very careful that you are not going to miss the last stitch. And I'm just going to show you here. See how easy it would be to miss it. There it is sitting there on the end. Yarn over, I'm going right into the last one there. Pull through, yarn over and pull through a 3. Then I'm going to do 2 chains, turn the work. Whoops. And here, I just want to show you this. Here is the back, the wrong side of the work. And you can see how these 2 little ends have been encased nicely in there. So they're trapped, they're not going to come out. Lovely. So we're going to work back along this row with half double crochets, half trebles, yarn over into the stitch, put up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3, and we're going to do that all the way along the row. So here we are at the end. I just want to show you, this is our chain 2 that we used to turn. So I'm just going to yarn over and go through that chain 2 to do my last stitch. If you wanted to, you can go through the actual chains there, whatever feels neater to you. Right, so then we turn around, and now let's just have a look at that. We're ready to change colour again. So I'm going to snip off my yarn there, leaving that loop nice and big, so I can get my next yarn to change colour. Okay, so now I'm going to change colour again, I think, and this way I've got just a collection of yarns that I've used in the past. You can either buy your yarns and pick all the colours, or you can do what I've done here and just sort of pick random colours that you want to mix together. I'm going to go with this tweed yarn. And this is the thing, I've used another Aran yarn. This one is a Debbie Bliss Donegal Tweed Aran. So we've got the end from the baby pink. Now I'm just going to pull the tweed through. There we go. Pull the baby pink to tighten it up a bit. And then take the end of the baby pink and the end of the tweed, those two ends, and hold them behind your work so that we can encapsulate them in the stitches so that they're nicely tucked away. So 2 chains, 1, 2, and then we do a yarn over into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and back through 3, and we're going to work along the row like we did before. And all the while we are just trapping those ends in the back. Let's have a look at that. Whoopsie. If I just pull that loop up and show you. So you can see now that the 2 ends there are being caught up just like the ends there. And so then I'm going to let the ends drop, yarn over, and then carry on along the row as normal into the stitches, half double crochets, half trebles, all the way along. There we go. Now you might be thinking, Merion, why on earth have you put this luxury tweed Aran pink next to that sort of shell baby pink? Well, I want to show you this because it's really interesting. Even though you might not have chosen those colours to go together, when they're all in a great big blanket, it's amazing how fantastic it looks. Right, here we go. I'm going to do that last stitch. This is one of those moments where you really got to make sure you get into the last stitch, otherwise you're going to start drifting. So I'm going to put my hook right up there. And then 2 chains, turn the work around, and now we're going to come back the other way. Yarn over into that first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, back through 3. And we're going to work our half double crochets and our half trebles. Whoo! I'm going to get confused. All the way across. It's a US half double crochet, which is a UK treble. And so here I am at the end. I'm just going to yarn over and go into one of those chain stitches at the beginning. And there we go. So we've got a nice big loop. And remember what we said before. Snip. And we're ready to start a new colour. So once you've finished your blanket or your swatch, let's deal with the ends. So I've fastened off up there. Let's look at the back of the swatch or back of your blanket. Suddenly you'll think, oh my goodness me, look at all these ends. Well, there's 2 routes to this, and it really depends on how your blanket's going to be treated, how your Afghan's going. If your Afghan's going to be chucked around all over the room, then you might want to secure your ends a bit more. But if not, if it's just going to be a nice cozy thing for you on the sofa, you can just snip off the ends like that. And the reason we can do that is because you've woven them in as you go along. If you think that possibly, you know, your beautiful blanket's going to get pulled around a bit and the ends might come out, let's just show you how to stitch them back across a bit. So I'm just going to thread up the tapestry needle and show you here. I'm just going to take this and sew it back up through a couple of stitches like that to make it extra secure, and then snip it off. And so the ends come along here and gone back there. That's not going to come out anywhere. So just for the purposes of this, I'm going to snip off these ends here, pretend that we've done them. Let's have a look at these 2. So these are the top and the bottom of your blanket, and we're going to weave these ends in as well. All you need to do is to weave it in and out of the stitches. With this one, obviously try and keep it to the colour row you're on, and then importantly take it back the other way, and that means we know it's not going to come unfastened then. And you know, with some things you don't need to do this so slavishly, but with a blanket it's going to get pulled around, you do. So that's our swatch, our little mini blanket with all the ends sewn in. What about the edgings? Let's have a look. So you've got your finished blanket here. Obviously these are blankets for mice, little tiny ones. When you decide you're going to put an edging all the way around it, sometimes the best thing to do is to put one colour all the way around with a US single crochet, UK double crochet. So I'll just show you how to do that. I'll pop it round with the lilac, I think, on this one here. So pull up a loop, and we're going to make a little stitch here, a little double crochet. Now a double crochet, you just put your hook in, yarn around and tighten up. Now I'm going to go down the long edge first just to show you where to put your stitches. I'm actually going to go right inside there, even though it's not a stitch. So we do on the long side, put your hook in, pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through, and then just try and space out your double crochets or single crochets all the way down the long side of your blanket, and this will give you an edge so that if you want to put a really nice fancy edging on it, you can. So I'm going all the way down, and just try and space these stitches out evenly. Obviously you haven't got a stitch to put them in here, but you've got the rows. And when you get down to the end, I'm putting a double crochet in the corner here, but we've got to come round the corner. So I'm going to put a chain, and then I'm going to put a double crochet in the same place, and that gives us a neat little corner. So then I'm going to come down the rest of the blanket along the bottom, and that will give you a double crochet border all the way around. And once you've got this border all the way around, you can then add any kind of edging that you like on top. So I'm just going to work the rest of this double crochet edging all the way down, and I'll just show you one more corner. Here we go, coming up to the corner now with this single crochet UK double crochet edge. Put your hook right into the corner, double crochet, 1 chain, and then a double crochet into the same space. That'll take you around the corner, and you can see that's given you a little sharp corner edge. And then just come down the other side like that until you've gone all the way around the whole piece. So here we are. I wanted to show you, here's my little finished swatch blanket. So just lovely stripes and a double crochet edging, single crochet US, double crochet UK edging all the way around. And I just thought I'd take you back to my original blanket that we saw at the beginning. This is still a great big work in progress, but you can see that I've just mixed and matched absolutely everything I've ever worked on in there. So don't be frightened to just mix and match the colours and things that you've got left. Try and weave your ends in as you go along, and see, I've got lots of ends to weave in on mine, and you'll end up with a blanket that will stay with you forever. It's such a joy. So now you've made your first little crocheted Afghan swatch. You're ready to start the real thing. We'd love to hear all about it. Please leave us a comment and tell us how your blankets went. Happy crochet!